Hello, it's me again, Hegday Everyday Live, and earlier than usual because it's Friday night. Thought of going out and spoiling myself. But before I get into tonight's topic, please like and subscribe to the channel. And hello to everyone watching from wherever you guys are watching, whenever you guys are watching. Deeply appreciate it. Of course, you guys know me morely on Instagram, but here on YouTube, different things, longer content, and more so a personal touch with different things in my life. Yesterday, I spoke about diabetes. I've given you guys enough episodes to give you an inclination of what you're going to expect in this channel. And today it doesn't change at all. So today is a question I'm answering purely through the DMs I get on a daily basis with regards to how well I speak, my diction, my English, my anchoring skills, my conversational skills, my confidence. Do I have stage fright? Am I a natural orator? Was I a valedictorian in school? All of those questions will be answered tonight. Shout out to the chat first and foremost. Sanjay saying here at 6:01. That's when I created the link, but props to you. Really appreciate your enthusiasm. I'm a little early, I think, but anyways, I'll come at 9. He goes on to say, and he's on time. And he also goes on to ask whether, beg your pardon, what I think of India's performance against Ireland. I'll tell you something. I was just eating dinner with mum and sister. And we had that at the back of the hall, and it's 115 for 6 as we speak right now. So India in a sport of bother. I don't think they've ever lost to Ireland, but it's always a first in sport, let alone cricket. We'll come on to that later in the show, and things, in case things get interesting, I should say. But how are you guys doing on a Friday night? Please tell a friend about the Hegday Everyday portal in terms of not just Insta, but YouTube right now as well. And Shanbag Kulkarni 05 saying, shout out for me. Shubhang, absolutely murdered your name. Absolutely sorry about that. 2 back-to-backs, indeed. I mean, I can't be happier as an RCB fan. Gone through the lows, but now time to enjoy the highs. Quickly tell a friend about me, and I'll get into this whole discussion. Remember, in case you guys have any friends or colleagues or nephews or nieces who are into journalism, who want to kind of make a mark in the sports industry. I'm not saying I've been there, done it all, but I'll tell you some of the things which I've experienced over the course of the last 10, 12 years. I'm not saying I'm a Harsha Bogle or a Ravi Shastri, but I aspire to be in some point of time in my life wanting to commentate. That's been a childhood dream, and I think it comes naturally to me. Whether that happens or not, time will tell. But what I've been over the last 10 years before being this boom on Instagram was a cricket anchor, in particular a news journalist. I did an episode about that as well, which you guys can go and check out. But sports anchoring, what does it entail? Does it come naturally? Do you have to study for it? Yes, yes, and yes. But I know people, i.e. me, who has not studied journalism and probably just rode his luck and learned along the way with the gift of the gab. Now, I do speak good English, at least I don't want to praise myself, but decent compared to the rest of the lot. But my Hindi and my Kannada has been absolutely shocking, and I have no shame in admitting that. I want to get better at every language I learn. I think that's the agenda for every human being. I think that's the best superpower anyone can have. Imagine that. People tell me that you could probably be invisible in a cloak or fly as a superpower. I would love to know every language, and I know one properly, but if I can get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'll be happy when I put up my boots in this particular career. Right. Anyway, I'm waffling, but waffling's important being an anchor. And I tell you why, because you need to know how to read the room. You need to know exactly, when they say speak when you're spoken to, that's that. And these are things that I learned throughout, whether it was at a school, auditorium, amphitheater, formal event, or whether it was much more fancy, or whether it was with a player, or whether it was with someone senior to me, or whether it's me dealing with kids. There's always a way to go about what you want to cover. Now, sports is something that I absolutely love. At the age of 3, 4, I probably was watching sports, collecting magazines, playing cricket, trump cards, video games, you name it. My knowledge has been vast through those channels. And I've not been a reader, guys. Let's make no mistake. I've not gone abroad to study. Neither did I read a lot of books while growing up. It purely came down to consuming my knowledge through television, through commentary, through UK commentators, through Harsha Bogle, Ravi Shastri, the adjectives they were using at that point in time. And I watched so much cricket in the 90s and the 2000s, and not just cricket, but football. And I just developed a knack of not imitating the commentators. I would say that's wrong, but whilst playing FIFA, I would do my own commentary, whether it was little tournaments I had at home with my friends or whether I was just playing at home alone. I know that's a little bit of a loner thing to do, but back then as a kid, FIFA 10, 12, 13, 15, 16, I had all the FIFAs, and I would literally just go into career modes and commentate. And it was not like I was practicing it to be a commentator at some point in time, but it just came naturally, right? So the idols I grew up watching and listening to was like Martin Tyler and Andy Gray and John Dykes and Andrew Lessie. There was a Sports Center show every day at 8 p.m. So things like this just made me fall in love with sport even more, rather than just the teams and the players and the sport, the things around it. And broadcast fascinated my mind. So I always knew that if I didn't if I didn't end up being a cricketer, which I wanted to, I would always kind of have this as an option. Sure, you can marry sports with a lot of things these days: sports medicine, sports physiotherapy, which is pretty much the same thing, sports content. You could probably go into sports broadcasting. There's sports business side of things and the management side of things. You can be an agent. There's so many things to it. So you guys have to choose your path and be very sure that what you guys want to get into. Everyone wants to get into cricket. If you guys want to go down that path, go down that path. But if you guys want to break out and stand out, probably do something else, because now we have the power of social media to stand out even further. 15 years ago, when I was trying to make my mark, 10 years ago rather, I sound too old saying 15 years ago, 10 years ago, it wasn't as big as it is right now. It's obviously growing larger every day. So be very sure if you guys are into things in front of the camera, first and foremost. Like I told you guys this even yesterday, if you guys want to just ease yourself through, talk to a mirror, see how you do there. Then you go step by step. I was thrown in the deep end and I came out surviving purely because of the gift of the gab. I keep saying that cliche, but it's true. There are people who have that skill set, and maybe I've exploited that skill set quite well, because lots of people have so much of knowledge, and it's well depicted in their degrees, not just 1 or 2 or 3, but they constantly study, and fair play to them. But you can skin a cat in various ways. You don't have to kind of go down that one path. So this is my advice for all of you guys. In case you guys are just finishing your BBM or BBA or BCom and you still want a career switch, you can get it done, because now there are journalism online courses as well. And it's never late to start. You have an iPhone, you can buy a mic on pretty much Instamart, Zepto, wherever, and just go down to the local stadium and interview a player there, interview a player there. I'm not saying the elite players, just a normal player. Just try to put yourself out there in terms of, this is what I do. These are the kind of stories that I want to tell. I'll come on my Insta bit in a while, but how anchoring kind of got to me is part of that whole Newsline story that I was telling you, and it just came natural. So I wanted to be in TV because I knew I spoke well and I knew I could carry a conversation and play around with facts. And if there was 3 minutes to just ad lib, I could ad lib. So these are things that I just learned on the go. But then I realized that I actually have this in me. It's just a natural sort of thing. So I can't teach you these things, but you could probably just learn from people, like how I learned with the names I mentioned: Martin Tyler, Harsha Bogle, Ravi Shastri. We make jokes about Ravi Shastri in terms of all the dumb jokes, but honestly, if you've seen him operate, he's insane. For him to do this year in, year out, day in, day out for like 30, 40 years is incredible. So you have to pick up the best bits from all of these so-called experts, anchors, orators, and figure from there on. Now, a lot of people might say it runs in the family, so and so. And I don't want to get into that path, but I feel like I've carved out my own niche here with cricket and football. And many people say, I love your voice. Now, that's again something that I'm just blessed with, right? It's not like you can really improve your voice. I've gone for voice modulation classes in Newsline, part of the whole Media 9 training, but they just said, dude, you be you, right? So the problem for me at that point in time was like I got really sing-songy. And I say sing-songy in the sense I had a pattern in terms of every voiceover or every news I was reading, whether it was crime or sports or entertainment or lifestyle, it was in the same tone. And that's when I kind of learned, okay, here you need a pause, here you need to enunciate more, here you need to kind of long pause. And it's very hard to kind of read long scripts for a while and getting the tonality right. You obviously will redo it, but if you're a natural, you can just do it brilliantly. I'll take all the comments in a bit, but really appreciate Shubham, Sanjay joining me in this chat. All the other people I'm guessing in this community have probably gone out already with their families for dinner or their friends for a drink. Let me know where you guys are watching this and what you guys are doing tonight, because like we just spoke about earlier, India Island's going on, which I'll touch upon, and it's 52 of 29 as we speak. But disappointed that Suryavanshi didn't play. I'll come on to that as well in a bit. But coming back to my whole anchoring facade, it's not a facade, but like what I mean is my game face on when I do interview cricketers and so on and so forth. You got to just be different. And I say different because in India, a lot of people look for sensationalism. They try to kind of grab a headline from whoever they're interviewing. Now, if I tell you, oh, you're going to interview Virat Kohli tomorrow, or Rohit Sharma, or MS Dhoni, you don't want to kind of get into, first of all, anything you talk about with those three, with all due respect, is going to make news. But even if you get like the off chance to get, I don't know, Gautam Gambhir or AB de Villiers, people automatically ask them about Virat. And I think it's a very wrong thing to do because they have their own careers and they have great stories to tell about India, about the IPL, let alone certain individuals. So I would stick to doing your research. One is phenomenal. How much that comes handy. You need to know sport like the back of your hand. I've kept saying this to everyone who's come to me because at the end of the day, that's your cup of tea. I'm not a software engineer, but if I was, then I'd probably done a solid engineering course to learn the craft and the art of it. So right now, there's plenty of shortcuts you can take in life, but don't do that. Try to just be individualistic and create your own stance. That's where people say, stick to the process, don't worry about the results, right? You don't care about your 2 views, 5 views, 10 views, and now everything comes down to vanity numbers. So don't let that play on your mind. Everyone who I've spoken to off late have just said, yeah, but I don't know if this will work, that'll work. Give it a go. You have nothing to lose. It's a shot in the dark. If it hits, it hits. If it's not, then we know what we can think of, right? You can control the controllables. So again, not to kind of go on and on about the cliches in the industry, but from a personal POV and how I've seen it, I just think you have to be yourself. Look at Arnab, look at Pranoy Roy, look at Jatin Sapru. I'm just giving you random names right now. They're all known for something really special about it. Whether it's the right reasons, the wrong reasons, you guys can debate in the chat. But my point is, everyone has their own uniqueness. And I found out very early on that I could speak to people for various amounts of time about anything and link conversations really well. That's another thing that they tell you in journalism school in India. And I think it's a very old school, regressive way to approach an interview. So they kind of tell you, prepare your interview with these 5 questions, which is where, when, what, why, how, which, or whatever, right? And I just think you go into an interview like a conversation. You literally go into an interview like a conversation. And from there on, it's just picks itself. And that's what's made me so, I don't know, watchable on Insta, if I would like to say. Again, I'm not saying this. This is what I've been told multiple times with different people. And I'm only doing this to make you guys understand what are the pitfalls, what are the opportunities, the strengths, the weaknesses in this particular line of work. India, unfortunately, doesn't have that many sports channels like many countries in the world, by the way. If you go and see the United Kingdom, they have TNT Sport and they have Sky Sports. Those are the 2 big players. In India, you have Star Sports. Now you, of course, have the digital streams. You can work for Hotstar, you can work for Jio, there's Z5, there's Sony, various places where you can be a sports anchor. Or you can, of course, work for someone big on YouTube. one thing is you got to be very sure in terms of your words, your diction, your pronunciation. If you're really good in Hindi, stick with Hindi. If you're really good in English, improve it to a way that people just sit up and take notice. You can't just be the run of the mill, right? And that's where you have to kind of stand out for sure. So I would say I stood out maybe because, okay, sure, I stood out because I'm 6'2", but also just had this knack to make someone feel comfortable and warm and be really curious like a child, but give them all the due respect. So I've interviewed greats like Adam Gilchrist and A.V. de Villiers, and my first couple of interviews was Rahul Dravid. Now, the first time I interviewed Dravid was in Bell Road for some school academy thing. And he was not giving time to any media person. And I was just going to go there to cover it as a rookie working for News 9. And little did I know that at that point in time, Dravid's son studied in my school. So I was literally kind of not going to go down this route, be like, oh, here's your son, all of that gentle stuff that the Indian journalist might ask Rahul Dravid. So I positioned differently. I kind of went down the boring route, but I still got a chance to interview the great man. Here's a man who I grew up watching, missing math exams for in the 5th grade. At 4 in the morning when he's batting against West Indian bowlers on a tough pitch in Trinidad, I was there watching in my living room. So here I am 15, 17, 18 years later, having a chance to interview Rahul Dravid. Didn't want to bosh it, got the chance. It was 3.5 minutes or whatever. I was nervous as a duck because Rahul Dravid was just standing there and talking to me, and I'm just like, wow, this is insane. I had to pinch myself, but I had to keep calm, think about my follow-up questions. Now, when you ask people questions, they might give you the shortest response that you've ever heard. Hey, bro, what's up? What are you doing? Nothing. Then you have to have another question. You can't just be blah. So think on your feet, improvise. Also, you might have a question that you want to ask him in terms of your second question, but he might have ended something well with his first answer. So you can't just be like, right, and then move on to that. It has to be a really good flow. So that's what I think I've developed. Go check out all my cricket.com interviews. I'm generally saying this. You look at my editors as well and what they've told me over the years, that they've loved the fact that they don't have to cut that much. And I'm not putting myself over other people over here because I'm sure they're one-take wonders everywhere in the world. But this is what I've understood. When you kind of get a time for a sports athlete to interview, they want it done and dusted really quick, but they also don't want to fall asleep. They don't want to get angry. So you have to make them feel good, but not bored. You have to make them feel large, but not like futile. So these are certain observations I've got and gathered every time I've interviewed anyone. I had a sit-down interview with PV Sindhu. Amazing. I had a sit-down interview with Vishwanathan Anand. Amazing. I interviewed Alan Shearer, who's the Premier League record goal scorer. And I did all of this in my new days, and it was brilliant. And that's what made me tell myself, like, dude, I can honestly anchor sports, let alone just do sports reportage. And eventually that's the plan. I want to do a show where I get on a podcast, but not a sit-down podcast, but pretty much take cricketers or footballers or hockey players or kabaddi stars out of their comfort zone and just have a chat about life, have a chat about their careers, get the anecdotes. That's something that you could hear 10 years later, rather than getting a player and talking about the current climate of cricket or whichever sport that person is. So very important that you guys know your sport to be an anchor first. Very important that you guys know how broadcast functions. There are perils. There are, of course, people trying to pull you down because it's a rat race. Fellow anchors, producers, you'll have to deal with it. And of course, no one's going to be nice to you in a newsroom or in a media environment because shit hits the fan very, very quickly in terms of day-to-day stuff, especially on season. So you have to be on top of your game, nice, cordial. I think this is just general professionalism. But from a sports anchor perspective, always thinking on your feet in terms of, you're watching a match now, what are the stories which can come out? And this kind of transcends even in the producer role, right? When you look at all these news producers or people who work for ICC or people who are working right now for the India Island game, they might be thinking of their post show already in terms of what are the nuggets we can get out from this expert? What are the things we can ask this guy? If you have a Deeptas Gupta and Akash Chopra, are you going to pick his mind about the game in general? Are you going to pick his mind about I don't know, Sanju Samson and how well he kept, or Ishan Kishan and his different sort of nuances as a keeper for Deepdas, and then ask Aka something about, I don't know, like different things. I'm just trying to think on top here. But my point is, you want to be a sports anchor, go for it, guys. It's a lucrative business. You have to be really, really good. Obviously, there's an incredible talent of women anchors coming through, and the flag bearers and the beacon of light has been Mayanti Langer, and props to her. And since then, even way back, Mandira Bedi, when she first did it, it was really refreshing to see. It was a breath of fresh air, and now you see a lot of it. But if you guys are confident to make it as a sports anchor, go for it. And don't always think, shit, Star Sports is not going to get me a job. You have to start small. You can start in an Andhra Premier League, in a KPL, ILT20, and make yourself up the ladder, because that's exactly what everyone did. You look at even Jatin Sapru, and I had the chance and the opportunity to interview Jatin on cricket.com. Go check that out as well. It was a brilliant podcast to pick his mind. And he was also going back to his early days where he took part in the Harsha Ki Khoj competition back then. And from there on, Star Cricket was born. And it was a perfect time for him to kind of jump onto the sports anchoring world. And everyone has their own story. Gaurav Kapoor, for example, started off as a VJ at Channel V, and then extra innings happened, and then you fast forward to Breakfast of Champions, and he's also brilliant, by the way. I've had a chance to speak to him, and he's told me every opportunity you get, say yes. And I think that's the best bit of advice that I've got in this business as well, because sometimes you might think, oh no, this is some stupid school tournament or college tournament. I think you cannot be picky and choosy, and grassroots is vital in India. So if you make a mark there, it's easy to kind of climb the ladder, beg your pardon. So that's my whole take on how to be a sports anchor or a news anchor. I think you'll learn on the job, because it's such a volatile environment that you have to learn. You either sink or swim. Let me take some comments right now. And I can't believe my eyes, because in the last 15 minutes, while I'm going on with my anchoring story, India are capitulating to Ireland. I don't know how. They didn't play the baby boy, Suryavanshi, but I think they might go down 1-0 in this series. I think it's a 2-match series as well. Let me just confirm that really shortly. That's quite wild that India are losing this one. Yeah, it's a 2-match series, both in Belfast, today and Sunday. Yeah, I mean, this is just before the England series. So lots for the England papers to write about for sure, whether it is a Virat Kohli-less team or a Rohit Sharma-less team. Team India always makes headlines wherever they go. I will take the questions right now, because it's already been 22 minutes and I have to go for drinks, like I said, at the top of the show. That's why I'm doing a 9 p.m. session today. Remember, lots of random things I will chat about going forward. Every weekday I will try to make this a success, or try it to be a success. What is triumph without trying? A little oomph is what I would say. But basically, what I would like to also kind of finish on, apart from your questions, is that do what you love. And I did sports anchoring. I think passion took over as well. But then I was so keen to kind of just get better at my craft. Let's see what lies ahead for me personally. By the way, some solid content coming out on Instagram today, and tomorrow and day after, and every day, because that's the name of the game, Tech Day Every Day. So follow and subscribe and tell a friend. Right, time to take questions, because ultimately I do this and my mom and my sister ask me, how do you just talk for like 25 minutes to yourself? But I tell them, I'm not talking to myself, I'm talking to the community, the world. And if you're comfortable just talking, then you'll just talk to a lamppost, right? Does one just go and volunteer or give an interview, not only for the big channels, but even for the smaller ones? Now, it depends which organization you work in. There's a lot of things which require accreditation in our sporting world. Now, if you even work with Pro Kabaddi League or the Pro Volleyball League, let alone the IPL or the ISL, you need an accred. And it depends how you get the accred. Now, if you work for a flagship newspaper, if you work for an established organization, easy peasy. You'll get an accreditation through your organization, and then it's for you to not mess up And of course, be very nice in the press box and courteous to your older colleagues. But essentially, you have to know who you're going to be going in with and what is the sort of, how do I put it? For example, if I'm in a news night, I have no chance of interviewing Virat Kohli unless it's a paid gig, right? So sometimes you gotta either reach out to cricketers who might require a little bit of PR, because if you do your deep diving, a lot of cricketers, yesteryear cricketers, still require the fame and name even now. So you can bring back those cricketers, or you can talk about cricketers who are going to be killers in the future. But if you're an established organization, and once we were established in cricket.com, we played on that. We played on the fact that we had a lot of Indian football and we had a lot of cricketers subscribing to our channel and listening to our views. So it was easier to facilitate a conversation with cricketers, their agents, and to get them on board. And all the interviews that I did for cricket.com Unwind, by the way, and if this is news for you, great. And this is why I feel like I deserved a bonus and a half, was free for everyone, whether it was Adam Gilchrist or Shivnan Chandrapal or you name it. I went to Varun Aaron's restaurant and had a meal with him, interviewed him there. We didn't pay a single penny to these guys, and they were courteous to give it us because they know the kind of quality of content that we want to do and we were doing and who was interviewing them. So all of those things matter to a cricketer. Even if a cricketer says, listen, I'll give you 20 minutes of a time on a Skype call, they want to know what's your intention with that video. Who are you, first and foremost? And depends on that. Now, suddenly, if they do see that your organization has 1 million, they're going to be like, yeah, well done. I'll probably come on. And even if your organization has 10K, 15K, then they'll probably start talking money and be like, hey, listen, I don't do it for smaller channels. So everyone has a price. Everyone, of course, will pick and choose who they want to give an interview with. So you have your friends, you have your foes in terms of journalists and certain cricketers who might just avoid you forever. And I wouldn't name names, but if you guys know me long enough, you'd probably know that. Sir, humble request saying Shubham Kulkarni. Go on, Shubham. Go on. Can you follow me back on Insta? I mean, a lot of people ask me to do that. And if you put really interesting content out on Instagram, I will follow you. I don't want to follow people just for the sake of it, guys. Just give me a reason. I'm only asking you all to follow me on Instagram because I'm spreading smiles through sport and you guys like it anyway. And I didn't even have to tell you all to follow me. You guys follow me for just following me because everyone is clearly in Bangalore and I don't want to be too cocky about it. And I don't want to be great. I mean, take it for granted, beg your pardon. But it's the vibe right now in the midst of 2026. Hegde every day is on the boom. But if I can follow you back for a valid reason, I will follow you back. How about that, Shubham? Too many fighting for second place. Ain't no competition for first place. This is regards to what, Sanjay? Just enlighten me on that. Honeyrow, meanwhile, saying true. One's own unique way of doing things is what gets anyone excited and interested. Otherwise, it's all monotonous and boring. Absolutely spot on, my friend. Be authentic. Be true to yourself. People want to see you, not a facade, not a mimicry of someone else, not something that they've already seen. And it's very hard to find out a niche, but once you find it, extrapolate it. Honestly. One request, sir. I'm sweating here to tell you. What is that? I mean, anything you guys want to ask me. Would you pull an all-nighter and watch the World Cup matches going on? Always do that. I think I enjoyed even last night. I was at a friend's house. God bless him. He's going to get married soon. Watching Ecuador, Germany, and me and him are more cricket friends, but didn't just get him involved, got his wife to be involved, and we all had an absolute time of our lives, even though it was just a inconsequential game. I say inconsequential, but for Ecuador, it meant the world because they beat Germany and they booked their places to the last 32. So I watched that game and that was at a strange hour. I knew friends who slept through that and then they woke up to watch the Turkey-USA game, which was also a banging game. Turkey out of the competition, but 3-2 winners. And let's see how the US do because apparently Trump is going to be coming to watch the World Cup final, obviously, with the World Cup presentation done by him as well. No prizes for guessing there. But I don't know. I've not been a coffee kind of guy through the nights. I've just delayed my sleep cycles at the start of this month, and it's worked out well. And this week, I'm dreading it because Colombia Portugal is a 5 a.m. kickoff, and God bless us all. Portugal played at 10:30 twice IST, so it was watchable. 5 a.m. almost gives me BGT vibes, like tuning into Australian cricket, watching Virat bat, but this time it'll be the other side of the world, watching Ronaldo, not bat, but kick a ball. More comments to take, and then I'll just bounce, guys, because it's already over 30 minutes over here. Great reels on Insta with young children on the playground saying Nolan 15 or Perez. That's one hell of a name, by the way. I hope I haven't butchered it. Nolan 15 or Perez. Fair enough. Where are you from, Nolan? Let me know who you support and if you're from Bangalore. But more of those videos, not just in Sudarshanagar. Let me know if you guys are playing cricket or football in your areas. I try to just come and do like a random sort of entrance into one of the turfs or courts that you guys are making yourselves present on. So more of those videos, more divas to come, more jersey videos to come, and of course more reactions from me as well. I think that's been something that I've not been giving that much since the IPL, but I should just be much more hands-on with that, because I actually scream at my TV a lot when I watch the Portugal game, especially the first one. The second one is screaming in joy because Ronaldo scored a brace and all of that. Shubham saying there is a reason to follow him. He goes to coaching center and he plays for districts Dharwad and Karnataka. Okay, sure. I'll give you a little follow maybe after this. No promises, but I'll have a look at what you have to offer. And if you see a Hegde every day follow you, then good on you, man. No competition for the first place in the XP. Oh, and like in the comments, no, but maybe going forward and I get a lot more people watching, then I'll have a competition for the first comment. We used to do that for cricket.com, but we built it over time. So I'm planning to do the same here. Right. 31 minutes and 48 seconds and counting of my absolute nonsense. Not nonsense in a way, because some sense you can always pick from this chat, especially the one about sports anchoring. India have lost also on that note. Somber way to end the show and end the week, but more to come, like I said, through my content and through sport and our television. So ping me on Insta, free for a chat all the time. Until the next time, so goodbye from me. Have a fantastic Friday, and I'll see you guys soon. You know what they say, guys. It's Friday.